Hey guys, it's Chris from Big Sky Garage. Tried to get a video out last week, but had some technical difficulties, so here we are. I'm going to make this a two-part series on the Chevelle, kind of do a walk around and give you some history on it and kind of show everyone some things I've done to it. So we'll get started. So here's the engine compartment, guys. I think I had mentioned in one of my previous video that we're still waiting on the engine, but kind of give you a rundown of what we got going on here. I've got a KRC power steering pump, and it might seem like a little bit of overkill, but I had rebuilt the old Saginaw pump and the housing cracked on it. I had tried a couple replacements from a couple different outfits and they just weren't cutting it. So called up KRC and they sent me the pump. Try to get you in here to look at it a little better. Awesome setup, really works well. And these hoses are actually pretty simple to assemble, but really happy with that. Just got done painting this plate on top of the radiator. It's got a little bit of dust on it here. And there's the trans cooler. That's a B&M trans cooler. It's a stacked plate design. And this transmission, even when I'm launching the car, rarely gets over 170 degrees or so. So definitely worth it if you have a stall converter. Got a Northern aluminum radiator from Summit Racing. It's a 2-core, and I think the cores are at least an inch wide, so it does a pretty good job. And painted the fender wells. Just spray bombed them. Did the cross member there. Figured that'd be a good idea to paint that stuff before the motor goes back in. And there's the B&M, or I'm sorry, it's not B&M, it's Hughes 3000 RPM stall. Really works good. Pretty happy with that. I got my coil mounted, MSD coil. I was running an HEI, but I decided to go with the MSD Pro billet ready to run. So we'll get that in there. And then if you guys notice, right there, I use a lot of that thermal sleeve on the wires. Really a good idea if you have any wires near a source of heat, obviously the engine or exhaust or anything like that. And put some new rubber up there. And I was going to show you too these transmission lines from like here back that way. I think they were made by a company called Right Stuff, and they really did a nice job of bending them. And then up here I had to bend some pieces and join them up to get over to the radiator. As you can see, I got some wires labeled and everything, so usually I remember where they all go, but sometimes I don't, so kind of cover my bases there. Got the electric fans there, and I have each of those on a relay, so that's always a good idea. And I was going to show you everyone, this is the underside of the hood, and obviously I still have to paint it. But as you can see, I still have some epoxy I need to clean up. We molded the fiberglass scoop to the steel hood, so you can kind of see where I need to clean that up. But one thing at a time, I guess. So we'll get you guys a look on the outside of the car here. Take this light off and we'll shut the hood here. So there's the hood scoop, and I was a little leery at first molding a fiberglass hood to the or hood scoop to the steel hood. I had a guy come over and help me with that, and that was several years ago, and there hasn't been any cracks, nothing weird going on. Like right in here, it was pretty difficult to get this to blend in here, but with his help, it came out pretty good. You really can't see the blend. But that was an interesting project. Unfortunately, when I did that, I don't think I was on YouTube or anything. I kind of wished we would have done a little how-to on that, but I do have some pictures that we took of some of the process. So if you guys are interested in seeing some of those pics, maybe I can post them on another video or something. But that epoxy was made by a company called Lord Fuser, and I also used that same epoxy to glue in the quarter panels and then the fender patches down and right in there. Use a special caulking gun, and pretty much it blends it equally every time. So anyways, this paint is Rust-Oleum hardware paint, and it's not the best way to do the satin black, but I was on a budget, and I saw a Hot Rod magazine article. They used it on a Camaro. I did use kind of an inexpensive HVLP gun. We did use Summit Racing high build primer underneath. I did mix in a little bit of enamel hardener with the oil-based paint. It definitely has the satin look, or the matte black. I'm pretty happy with it. The one disadvantage to that is if I go to paint it with like polyurethane or enamel, all this black will have to come off. But so you can see the bumpers there. We painted those just a satin silver. We'll get you guys over here to the front and show you that. We did put new tail light lenses in it. So a friend of mine, he really thinks the satin silver on the bumpers looks really good. And I think it does, but I've contemplated re-straightening the bumpers and then having them chromed. But feel free to leave some comments if you guys think it'd look better in the satin silver versus the chrome. That'd be kind of interesting to find out what you guys think. So, and of course we have the traditional BF Goodrich radial TAs on the Weld Pro Star wheels. And eventually, hopefully next year, we can do some drag racing with it. We'll definitely put on some drag slicks or DOTs for those. So it has new quarters on each side, and then fender patches right in there. One thing I did find is it's really hard to find good sheet metal that fits like it's supposed to. But that's a whole nother story there. So another thing, if you guys notice, from here all the way forward, it has that stainless trim, and I'm really trying to get you guys back where you can get a better view of it here. I've really been debating on whether to take that trim off and do like what was on the SS's, where the trim would end right here. But there again, it'd be interesting to know your guys' opinions, if you think it looks better with that or without. I don't see a lot of Chevelles with that trim on it. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Got a new windshield in it. It has the built-in radio antenna, but of course I don't have a radio. I like listening to the exhaust more than anything. So got new parking lenses on the sides there, and those 350 emblems are original GM that I found on eBay. So yeah, so we'll get you guys inside here and show you what's going on inside the cockpit. First thing is, I've got that, I don't know if you guys can see, it might be a little dark. Yeah, let me get some more light in here, guys. I'm just doing this with my phone, so we're learning as we go here. Alright, we'll get some lightage in here. So right there, I've got the B&M, I think it's a Pro Ratchet. Works really good. I'm pretty impressed with what B&M did on that shifter. And this is, holding the light here too, I made that base for the shifter out of aluminum and then had a company weld it up for me. Because without that, the shifter sits too low. I really couldn't reach it too well. So it worked out pretty good. Pretty inexpensive to build that and have it welded up. And then, so as you can see, I have gauges kind of all over. So, but right here, I have a panel, and that's the switches for the electric fans. So just to the right of those switches, I'm going to put in my wideband AFR gauge. And we'll probably do a video on that also. So that'd be kind of interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to doing that, maybe doing a little bit of data logging when we go drag racing. So show you guys here. Got a new headliner. I still have to do the door panels, but we're getting there eventually. The seats are recovered. And then this is the original dash. It still has some cracks in it, but we just painted it with some vinyl paint. And looks better than it did before. So, but yeah. So we'll come back out here. Get the door shut. So yeah, and the interesting thing about these Chevelles is there's a lot of round surfaces on them. There's not a lot of flat areas. So when I did the body work, there's probably a few things that I probably noticed more than anybody else would, but it looks a whole lot better than it did. So, and this car was, I did find out, was originally sold out of Great Falls, Montana. And as far as I know, I'm either the third or fourth owner of the car. And the car actually sat up the road from where I grew up, and I had a paper out. And I always remember seeing this car, and I thought, oh, that's a really cool car. And then all these years later, I ended up with the car. And I've had it for probably about 20 years now. And so it's been a process for sure. So yeah, see if I'm forgetting anything on this first part. On the second part, we'll kind of get you guys underneath the car and show you what we've done underneath there. And hopefully we'll have the engine back in, and we can talk about that for sure. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention is these tires are 295s, and so I did have to move the lower rear shock mount a little bit and roll the fender lips up. The wheel is a 5.5 inch back spacing, but they clear pretty good. So, and we'll kind of go over that a little bit on the next next video. So hopefully you guys didn't find this boring. Hopefully it was interesting for you. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time. God bless.